Alright guys, so welcome back to me today. Happy Halloween 2020! We're going to actually be talking about games that you could play on Halloween that are going to give you that Halloween spirit. I'm going to actually have a few videos on the channel this Halloween to talk about different games that are all fun for Halloween, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. They're all going to get posted on Halloween Day, so hopefully you do enjoy this. And the first game we're going to talk about is Zombie Vikings. Now guys, I picked this game up about 2 years ago and I wanted to cover it on the channel but never really got around to it. It's one of my favorite beat 'em up games and it's really weird and very fun at the same time. Because in advance guys, this game really isn't made for kids, it's mostly for teens and adults, even though it has that cartoony image. You might get the idea this game was made for kids. I would argue that a lot of parents would see some of the humor within the cutscenes and disagree that this game isn't maybe for their kid. So do keep in mind of that. It does get a little silly sometimes, a little too overly sexual in other ways, and it can be a little silly. It's not over the top, but it might be something that pushes you over the line and says this isn't for your kids.
I see. How about you and me in my cauldron, my love? This nice German head and sit in silence. Loki, why not just dip a little toe in my cauldron? My toes aren't temperature sensitive. What? Ooh, the old soap dropping routine. No.
But enough about all that. What kind of game is Zombie Vikings? Basically, it's an RPG beat 'em up, but it's very bare bones in its RPG mechanics, so anybody can learn this at any age. It's super basic, super easy. You know, you got your attack, defense, and speed kind of thing. And then you've got your runes, and there's runes basically just do certain basic things like more health, more speed, stuff like that. It's very bare bones, you can understand it in a couple minutes. The idea is basically you go across the levels and you basically get new weapons, you get new runes, you get coins, and you can use those to buy things within the shop. But as you progress the story, there'll be more and more things that you can purchase. You're also going to be given free weapons and stuff throughout the story. As long as you complete side quests and different things like that, you'll get all the weapons basically for free. Now, that's if you're playing single player. Now, if you're playing multiplayer with other people, basically you have to fight for that weapon to see who actually earns the free weapon. Now, don't be discouraged by this because the player that does lose can actually purchase the same item in the shop once they have enough coins to do so. And I really enjoy this concept because it makes the multiplayer seem so much more interesting. These zombies basically are characters that, you know, have ignorant personalities that are all into themselves and very self-righteous characters, right? So it kind of makes sense that if something was thrown at them, hey, there's only one of these, who gets it? They would fight for it. So it's kind of funny, it's got that Looney Tunes-esque kind of thing going on. That's what the humor of this entire thing is. It's kind of that Dead Ringer type humor, you know, something like where it's really stupid humor, but it's kind of funny because it's so stupid. You know, it's hard to explain until you just watch it for yourself and play it. But it's kind of funny. Not every joke is great in this game, I'm not gonna lie, not all the jokes are very funny. Some of the jokes are funny, and they're long-running jokes that like go through multiple cutscenes. The cutscenes can be a little long sometimes. You could skip them, of course, but I don't recommend you do that because they're quite funny some of the time. You really don't want to miss the story because the story ties all the gameplay together. But what about the weapons in Zombie Vikings? Well, they're all swords, guys, so don't get your hopes up for any guns, crossbows, or anything else. No archery, nothing like that. But we're going to talk about how your characters can actually shoot projectiles, but it's not with their weapon necessarily, and we'll talk about that. But anyways, the weapons can go from anything from a cat on the stick to just a basic, you know, tree branch kind of thing to a candy cane stick to anything like, you know, a skunk's tail on a stick, and they all do different perks and damages. They all have like their own like special ability. Now, they're obviously the beginning, you know, stick in the game or the sword that you get, which is basically a stick, let's be real, has no extra abilities, nothing like that, but that's what gets interesting. You start out with little to nothing on your journey, and while you're going through this story to progress to get to the end, if you know what I'm saying, I'm not going to tell you what the story's about. You basically get new weapons, and the more side quests you get, the more weapons you have a chance of getting. So you can basically tackle different bosses and challenges along the way with different styles, and especially if you're playing multiplayer, it actually gets more interesting because one of your characters can be all about damage and the other one can be all about speed, whereas, or, you know, it can be both attack and speed, or someone can actually have a buff on their, you know, their weapon basically to slow the enemies down or do poison, stuff like that, and it makes it so much more interesting. And as a result, I'm not going to be covering any of the story in this video because there's no point. I want you to play this game and enjoy it. It's dirt cheap, guys. This game is on sale all the time, well, at least around the holidays especially. This game goes on sale all the time. When I picked up this game about 2 years ago, I think I picked it up for like maybe $3-4, and it might have been one of the $3-4 best games I've ever bought. It is great. This game is so much fun. Honestly, there's some little bugs and flaws, like sometimes the characters flicker when you go run running forward and backwards. Sometimes they flicker, and if you do have epilepsy, I would definitely recommend maybe considering a different game. Each of the 4 characters can shoot a projectile of some sort, but they're all different, and they all have a different purpose, but it's not attached to the weapons in any way. These characters just have it as a special ability. Now, I might add to you guys, there's no stamina meter or anything like that to keep you from spamming these abilities, but you really won't get any use out of spamming these abilities. They're kind of more for certain use cases. Like, you wouldn't use your all-time special just all the time, because it's not very useful against big bosses and stuff like that. It's just to get you out of trouble and to basically put enemies back in the place that they should be. To put them in a certain area so you can beat them up while they're kind of dizzy. That kind of thing. So it all makes sense. As for the projectiles, it's usually like something like poison or something to slow them down. Something along those sorts. It's not like a fireball in Mario Brothers or anything like that. So don't expect anything like that, guys, because it's very disappointing if that's what you're expecting. And you might think, well, it's not very useful to shoot a projectile. It kind of is, because it does damage over time. And that damage over time does add up as you're smacking on your enemies. And trust me, these enemies do have a lot of health sometimes. And for some enemies, they maybe do have a little too much health, but it's not bad at all. The bosses feel just right, the enemies feel just right as well. It's pretty good overall experience. Let's talk about the atmosphere, where you go through different levels, and they're all a little bit different. They've got that theme of darkness and kind of like the Halloween-esque kind of thing. This game really isn't a Halloween game, but it's got that horror Halloween kind of feel to it, yet it's zany and over the top. It's hard to explain, but it just feels right to play during the holiday of Halloween. Why not? Plus, zombies and Halloween go hand in hand, even if these guys are zombie Vikings, which is so weird. But yeah, guys, this game is overall amazing. I would recommend it to almost anybody. And while some of the humor in the game is a little dirty or over the top and kind of grotesque and just weird, it's not over the top where it's like so offensive that you just can't play it. If you're a kid, I don't recommend this game for you because this game is not made for you. Teenagers and adults, please only. Unless your parents are really okay with it, I don't recommend this to your kids, guys. It's just not the game for them. It's great. I wish it was, but yeah, the humor is just a little over the top, unless they skip all the cutscenes. Anyways, guys, hopefully you did enjoy the video, and if you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. What games are you playing on Halloween this year? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm very curious. Until next time, guys, it's been Gamer Today.